This is your women's coverage crew for Sky Magazine. I'm Maya Ziv here with Adam Lerman, Robin Fenig, and Ryan Thompson. We're here to talk about day one of the national championships. Let's start with the pools. Adam, you are keeping an eye on Pool A. What did we see there?
So we started off, first round of the day for Pool A was Oregon facing off against number 1 seed overall, facing off against the 2 seed in their pool, Wisconsin. And this was a game that was relatively cleanly played for the most part. Oregon jumped out to a pretty early lead and was in control of the entire game, and they pulled away in the second half and won by a pretty large margin. Other games, the big surprise was Ohio State coming out of pretty much nowhere, the 5 seed. No one really was expecting too much from them. They started off with a big win against Sonoma State, just completely controlling the game. Didn't end up being close at all, won I think 15-7, 15-8. And then they followed that up by playing Oregon in the last round of the day. And I just recently talked to a couple other captains after the game. They said that going into the game, the plan was for them to just play a few points, see what happened, and then kind of rest their starters. But they started trading, and they kept trading, and they kept playing their starters, and eventually they found themselves up 14-13. And Oregon was able to turn it on at the end, get the breaks they needed to win, but it was a game that absolutely could have gone either way. Ohio State is a very legitimate team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them winning more games tomorrow.
And so Sonoma State, who was at the top of the Southwest for a lot of the regular season, faltered a little bit in the postseason. They're actually 0-2 today. I think that's one of the biggest surprises in Pool A. Not sure we expected that. Robin, for Pool B, what games did you have an eye on today?
I was really lucky to watch the Washington-Delaware game to start off Pool B at 8:30 in the morning. Delaware, the overall 18 seed, came out on fire. My plan was to just kind of watch for a few points and kind of mosey on over to the Iowa-UCLA game, but Delaware's defense took them. It was amazing. They were up 3-1, got a few breaks right away. It was very exciting. Washington ended up taking half 8-7 and kind of came out really strong out of half. Delaware still played some really tough points. They ended up losing by a few. Also, Iowa beating Washington on double game point in the third round of the day. Saucy looked very, very patient and very collected offensively. UW threw a couple different zone looks at them, and Iowa just shredded it. Chelsea Tuig and Liza Miner were doing really great, just popping it right over the top of the zone. There really wasn't a whole lot of wind during that game, so I don't know if the zone was really effective for UW. And then Delaware, getting a big win over Humboldt during pool play. Again, Delaware, kind of that unknown, hasn't really played a lot of nationals level competition throughout the season, but they came out on fire. Nikki Ross, a graduate student for Delaware, her pulls have been by far the best I've seen all day in the women's division. I saw her pulling out of the back of the end zone upwind today, which is insane.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Very cool. So I actually had the opportunity to commentate with NextGen on the Michigan-UNC game, and that game was just incredibly exciting. Michigan actually pulled away early. The score was 7-1, which is really unfortunate for UNC. They're a very strong team. That's not the North Carolina team that we've been seeing all season, and Michigan definitely took advantage there. They were very patient and calm, took advantage of what was being given to them. UNC, on the other hand, was playing around with their lineups. It didn't seem like they really had a handle on the game. Michigan won that one 15-9, I believe. And so, Ryan, you had an eye on some of the other games in Pool C and D.
Well, part of the reason I think that UNC came out so tired against Michigan is their game against Stanford was back and forth, long points, and their starters played most of the game. Lindsay Lang, Shelly Cohen, Stepanidis. They really had to put in the work to beat Stanford. They were throwing a lot of zone. Shelly Cohen and Lindsay Lang throwing undefendable high backhands, but Stanford kept clawing back into the game, tying it 10-10, and then UNC closed it out 12-10, receiving and then breaking to win. But they put a lot of energy out in that game, played great, but I can see that it hurt them against Michigan in the later game.
And similarly, Michigan was actually having sort of a hard time against their next game against Florida. They actually came out kind of slow. They looked a little tired, probably more tired than they were comfortable with, and Florida actually took half 8-6. Michigan did come back to win, so that's a good spot for Michigan to be in. They're sitting at the top of their pool right now, pretty comfortable. What about Pool D?
Yeah. Pool D, exciting. This pool, at the beginning of the day, looked like Cal, Virginia, and Ohio State are going to fight out for the pool championship and the 2 pre-quarter berths. But I mean, from the beginning, 8:30 round, Ottawa really took it to Iowa State. Ottawa went up early. Iowa State had no answer for Katie Poran throwing hucks to Tess Van Leeuwen. Just undefendable by Iowa State. They came out sluggish, but they were able to claw back, went up again through hucks from Sarah Hoistad and Magon Liu to Becca Miller and Cassie Nelson. They came up with some great bids to kind of bail out Hoistad and Liu and really take control of the game again. It went to Universe Point. Iowa State received, and Liu just hucked right away to Annika Murray to close it out 14-13. But that was definitely one of the best games of the day. And from the 20 seed against the 9 seed, Ottawa showed a lot of fight there. Otherwise, in Pool D, Tufts came up with an upset over Iowa State. Iowa State still did not look comfortable throwing the disc around. Tufts threw some zone, and really Iowa State persisted hucking it against the zone. Tufts deeps were able to come, get the deep Ds, work it up the field, and Tufts, that's a team that really likes to go over the top. I don't think Iowa State was ready for that. They threw a lot of hammer goals, blades, that kind of stuff. Took them by surprise. The top team in Pool D at 2-0 is Cal. Cal survived Ottawa also gave them a hard time. It was tied 11-11. Cal pulled away to win 14-11. Claire Desmond and Emily Prater played huge in that game. And then Cal took on Virginia in the battle of 1 versus 2. Virginia actually was up 7-5 after taking the first break in the first half. But Cal came back, scored 6 in a row to go up 11-7, throwing a lot of zone, switching to man, and building kind of an insurmountable lead at 11-7. Virginia fought back at the end, but it was too little too late as Hardcap went on, and Cal closed it out 14-11.
So it sounds like a lot of really exciting games that we saw today. We'll be keeping an eye on some top games for tomorrow. This has been Hardcap for day 1 of the Women's 2012 National Championships. This coverage is part of Sky Magazine's 2012 College Tour. We're presented by USA Ultimate and Spin Ultimate. See you guys tomorrow.